You're listening to the Multifamily Journey Podcast. In this show, you'll hear industry experts share tips of success and failure from their real estate investing journeys. You'll get a transparent look behind the curtain while you learn to fulfill the lifestyle you want to live and achieve your wealth goals. Get ready for the journey to financial freedom through investing in multifamily real estate. Here's your host, Blake Dailey.
We got a really good show today with my buddy Brad Penley. We're going to talk about building your multifamily dream team using systems and scaling. So part of this, this whole journey is finding your team, finding the people who are going to be able to fill your weaknesses so you can focus on your strengths and grow together and build this awesome business that you envision now, but maybe you don't know how to because you're new to this. You think you have to do it all. Well, here's the secret. You don't have to do it all. You can find people to help you along the way, find people to partner with. And that's what this episode is all about, right? At the beginning, it's really getting over that thought that you have to do everything. And Brad gives some great insight, how he's went through his process of, having the missteps, having stumbles, and then finding the team members to really thrive with and grow and scale. So I think this is going to be a great show, one you're going to enjoy. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. All right, what's up, everybody? We got a great podcast today. We got my good friend Brad Penley on here. Brad is in my mastermind, so get the privilege of talking with him every week, get tons of good advice. Now me and him are on a syndication team together doing some awesome stuff. So super excited to bring his insight to you all today. So Brad, a little bit about his background. He operates his own small multifamily portfolio. He's an 04 in the Navy right now, the executive officer here in Panama City Beach. He is explosive Ordinance, so it means he gets to blow stuff up and do cool stuff, and has done some sick dives I've seen on his Facebook. So he has deployed like 5 times, done a lot of awesome stuff, specializes in risk management, executive strategy analysis. And then for Growth Vue, the team we're on is doing some really good stuff with investor relations and capital development, just absolutely killing it. He's also a graduate of that other academy out in Annapolis. So he graduated from the Naval Academy, and I went to the Air Force Academy. Last week we had Andrew Durazia, who was the Army Academy. So we've got the sister services here and kicking it off strong. So Brad, welcome, man. Excited to have you on here. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. I appreciate the opportunity as always. And it's just been such a fun journey so far. So I'm really excited to share anything I have about, what got me up to this point, where we're going in the future, and some of the bigger things we're doing in the real estate game. Yeah,
man. Super excited to get into all of that. So just to kick it off, I know I gave a little bit of background, but love to hear, your take and how you got started on your own multifamily journey, and the focus really being on that journey piece and helping, get that ball rolling.
So I kind of started off when I got to my first unit in the military. I went to Explosive Ordnance Disposal Mobile Unit 3 out in San Diego, California. Still just young, crazy, my hair on fire. We're in the middle of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, with the vast majority of that being explosive ordnance disposal and counter improvised explosive devices. But we were playing a friendly game of ultimate football, and I went up for a pass, and my commanding officer at the time, his name was George Byford. He hit me so hard. I flew across the field, landed on the grass, and was writhing in pain. And he reaches down and grabs my hand and jerks me up. And I'm still kind of blurry-eyed and dizzy. And he said, "Brad, I want you to remember 2 things. 1, never underestimate an old man. And 2, always buy real estate everywhere you go." And I was like kind of discombobulated. Well, I didn't listen to him for a couple of years, and I lived on a sailboat.
That's good advice to get on the laying on your back.
Yeah, it was good. And then I didn't listen to him, of course, for a while, and I was living on sailboats. But then, just kind of had that ringing in the back of my hair and in the back of my head, and the military kept moving me to different duty stations. So I started picking up small multifamily homes. Again, had heard it through somebody else. And I got to the point where I was, living in one unit and renting out the other units. And I started living, mortgage free. I wasn't paying for my own mortgage. And then I had a bunch of other disposable income. So I was like, this is awesome. So aside from taking some cool trips, I just started reinvesting that and finding more investment deals to do with that. But very, very quickly, I started hitting those roadblocks that a lot of investors hit, where you're putting a lot of energy into this. You're having to put out a lot of fires, answer a lot of unexpected calls. You can't really take a vacation. And I knew there had to be a better way. So I kept talking to mentors and other mentors and other mentors, and finally got hooked up with a guy who's got about 500 million in assets under management. And he invited me to come to a group of his out of Virginia, and went there. And I'm in a room with people I absolutely do not belong to be in a room with, just multimillionaires, people who have bought and sold multi-million-dollar companies, people who have built multi-million-dollar companies, all presidents, vice presidents, CEOs of other things. And they were looking to get specifically, more knowledgeable on commercial multifamily, and especially like the value add kind of play. So I'm just blown away, kind of like shell shocked and starstruck to this. At that time, I had like my own personal portfolio of a couple $1 million worth of real estate, but nowhere near these people's levels. But I knew that I wanted to grow, and then I knew I wanted to get economies of scale, and I knew I wanted to be working less. And most of all, I knew I wanted to be having more fun. Like all this stuff says, do real estate investing so you can have more freedom of time and freedom of energy and freedom of money. And I didn't quite feel that way. So, when I got in this group, and then we had about a couple of us out of that group, we just worked really well together. We clicked really well together. And a lot of that meshing came about because these other people had already been successful. And their whole thought pattern was, I don't really need more money. I want to make more of an impact. And charities can only make, a limited amount of impact because they're always asking people for money, as opposed to companies who have a charitable mindset.
There is no better asset class for building wealth than real estate, and in most instances, people don't have the time or energy to invest in it on their own. So how do you build wealth with real estate when you lack the time and energy? Leave that to the Growth Vue Properties. The Growth Vue team finds, negotiates, and manages multifamily assets for private investors. Their mission is to help investors secure the ultimate asset, which is time, all the while impacting the greater good with their endowment fund that fuels the mission of charitable organizations. Find out more by going to thegrowthvue.com. That's view with a VUE.com. Put your money to work so you don't have to at thegrowthvue.com.
As opposed to these companies that have a charitable mindset, they can generate a lot of revenue, and then their capability to give and or do more is exponential over a charity that's just asking for money. So we all got pretty excited about that, and we knew we wanted to do something a little bit different. So from that, we developed Growth Vue, and in a few short months, we're able to raise tens of millions of dollars, and we're looking to deploy that in the South. We're kind of lucky COVID came along. It's allowed us to be very selective in the deals that we look at, and be very selective about the partners that we take. And not gonna lie, the scariest part I thought going through this whole thing was going to be, how do you raise this capital? But with the economy the way it is, with the asset class kind of set up the way it is, it's a evergreen asset class. It's always going to make money in any economy, and that was kind of the basis, which interested me the most. It was like, I saw my parents go through the 2008 collapse, and a lot of other family and friends lose houses and kind of go through that economic strife. And I didn't want that, but I really loved real estate, and commercial multifamily was like the way to be in real estate. It was also the way to avoid, single family home and the whole vacancy problem with single family home. And what's the best part about it is just a team sport. In my own personal multifamily investing, all the decisions were on me. All the problem calls were on me. All fires to put out were on me. But I would get caught in analysis paralysis, and I didn't really have good systems or mechanisms in place, and definitely not good people or mentors to bounce things off of. Hey, is this a good idea? Should I make this move? even, small things, just like changing insurance companies, you have to do so much by yourself while there's other things going on. So as soon as we got into this team, I didn't really have to do the stuff I didn't like doing anymore. There's other people organically on the team that were just wonderful underwriters. They love spreadsheets. There's other people that are just, wonderful strategic minds. They know where to strategically move the assets where they want to go. There's wonderful operators on the team that know how to operate.
Such an important part right there about the team is finding, like you're saying, there's things you're not good at or maybe that you don't like. So it's finding those people that are, fill your gaps and allow you to grow together. But I wanted to unpack some things you said there. There's a lot of good things to reflect on. So first of all, started with getting into rental property investing. So you had income coming in. So you're basically living for free, right? And that's how I started. That's how I always recommend people start, like buy a house and house hack, basically rent out the bedrooms, find an extra unit, do whatever you can, because you learn, how to be a property manager. You learn how to be the underwriter. You learn how to do all this stuff by just jumping in and doing it with your, with the house you purchase. You can get it with a homeowner occupied loan, low down, and you can get into multifamily that way, like you did, like I did, like dozens of, or hundreds even probably, of people that have got in the same way and got a taste of having rental properties that way. But in that too, you're the property manager, you're the underwriter, you're everything. So you start to reach the limits of your time. And you can find out quickly that it's not as passive as, everybody says it is. You might have to do what people dread, is like unclog the toilets or something like that. So that's obviously not what you want to be doing. That's not, anybody's idea of financial freedom, is have to put out all these fires yourself. So to overcome that, joined up with this group, right? A lot of like-minded people that had this, the complementary skills that you needed, and everybody had the same passion and vision to grow together, right? They all wanted to scale their businesses like you did. And then through that, chose multifamily, like you're saying, stable asset class. In recessions, you don't get hit like single family because it's valued different. And then rents stay, people always need a place to rent. And if they lose their home, they're going to go live in an apartment complex. So a lot of good stuff there. And love to see that progression. So a big part of your journey has been that team mindset and finding the team. And in this, like in our mastermind every week, we talk about it all the time. Like, you're probably the biggest proponent of systems and teams. Like you've given me the scolding many times, like, man, find your team. So what led you to develop that, like that thought, like I need a team. I don't want to have to do everything.
I think I was just raised in the military, and what we do in explosive ordnance disposal, to have a team around me and a team to lift me up. And in that one, I was the leader, but I mean, everybody was so valuable, and that was to stay alive in Afghanistan and on the other counterterrorism deployments I did. So it's kind of inherent from the team standpoint there. But on this, what really led me into the team here, I was so hungry for knowledge. I still had an active duty military job, and I didn't have as much time to get all the knowledge I wanted. There's other people that had it. And then basically working through simple problems, they were just so much smarter and so much more efficient than I was. And it just kind of clicked that I don't have to spend time doing this stuff. Like now, if it takes me more than an hour to do something, it's going to get hired out to somebody else. That's a professional at doing that. For instance, I just had a fence built the other day by professional fence builders. It took them $690 and 3.5 hours and a couple of sodas to get that thing done. It had taken me probably $2,500 and
all day,
like 8 weekends. Yeah, all weekend.
Yeah,
I'd have been like kicking my dog and yelling at my neighbors, and it was just like it takes up so much emotional toll. But so many investors are locked onto, oh, this has to be mine. Oh, this is mine. I have to have control.
Or they do it because it's the most like cost efficient choice. Like they think
it's the most cost efficient.
They think so, yeah.
At the time, it's the most cost efficient, but in the long run, you're actually sacrificing your time. Imagine if Bill Gates was like, I'm going to do it all myself? What if Steve Jobs would have said,
pretty quick,
I'm only going to be building computers. I'm only going to be marketing computers. I'm only going to do this. Every company, if you want to grow and you want to be strong, you have to think and you have to start like a Fortune 500 company, at least in your mind and on paper going into it. Have all the positions lined out, and then you just find the people you need to fill in there. If you're a single home investor, it's no different. Find somebody that can do acquisitions really good. Find somebody that can do underwriting really well. Find somebody that does the rehab portion of it really well. And then find somebody that's great on the sales side of it, or on the maintenance side of it. Find those people and get them into your group, and go into mastermind groups. Local mastermind groups are an amazing way to do that. Online mastermind groups are an amazing way to do that. A lot of the paid mastermind groups are an amazing way to find like-minded individuals, and they paid to get there, so it's a high barrier to entry. Obviously screen which program you do, but that's a phenomenal way to meet other like-minded people that have different skill sets than you do. Paying that money to go up to Virginia, and I would go up there like once a quarter, plane flights, hotels, all that, was worth it because I met the people I needed to meet.
Yeah,
I met the people I needed to be around.
Yeah, that's a really great point, especially for paid masterminds, because you kind of separate the people who are serious about it and the people who might just, think, hey, I want to talk through some problems, right? If you put money in the game, you put your own skin in the game, you're more likely to stick with it. And then you also find other people who are committed and they're there putting their money in for the same thing. So I'm part of one paid mastermind right now, and it's the same thing. Everybody's there because they want to get better, they want to grow. And this is one of all active duty, and veterans are all real estate investors. Some are, doing syndications of hundreds and thousands of units, and some are just trying to flip their first house. But you get all that in there, you get all that perspective. So that's a great way to find new people. So it's just like what we were just talking about, like offloading property management or offloading maintenance, stuff like that. Like if you don't be afraid to spend the extra money on that, because it's gonna free up headspace for you. It's gonna free up time so that you can focus on the big revenue drivers. And that's those people are part of your team, even though you're paying them. Like in our syndication team, Growth Vue, we're not paying each other. There's no paid membership, but we're all in it together, right? We all have the same vision. But those people, those property managers, those are parts of your team as well. So like treat them like that, and it definitely helps you to grow. So
I also say the team about a team as far as like growing, but on the marketing side of it, you look stronger with more people. You look more professional with more people. You look more professional when you have people that have lined out titles and specific roles that they fill out, which also just leads to your competence, and money flows to competence. If you have competent people in competent positions, people are willing to give you their money and invest with you. And so, really think about, you might be getting lower returns at the very start, but in the long run, oh my gosh, you're going to be making 10x, what you could have done by yourself.
Yep,
so, if you want to grow, just find the other like-minded people, form your first partnership as soon as humanly possible. Form your first small group of investors as soon as humanly possible. Because, you can't do a whole lot maybe with $25,000 by yourself. But if you got 4 people that have $25,000, well, now you might have a much bigger asset that both of you can get a bigger, part of that pie. And you can get bigger returns than you could by yourself. It's just an economies of scale, and economies of big numbers work.
Yeah, you mentioned something really important in there, that when you're a member of team, when you have other team members, you can stick to your core competency, and you can play in the realm and the game that you're really good at and focus on that. So can you speak to that a little bit, how it helps eliminate distractions and just dig in?
I can do spreadsheets, but I don't enjoy them. I don't wake up every day, thinking about spreadsheets. I wake up every day thinking about how I can help somebody. And what that allows me to do is talk to people, which I love doing. I love solving other people's problems. I think that goes back to part of the service part of my life with the military. I love to serve other people, and to find somebody that's having a problem and be able to solve it for them is awesome. And not only solve it, but, give them the ideal and the mechanism for freedom of time and freedom of money. So I can, deliver a gift that's going to keep paying them the rest of their life. And also for me, I don't have to carry that heavy load. I can just focus on what I'm good at, what I'm passionate at, and pass the ball to somebody else who's passionate about underwriting, and they're passionate about getting the numbers exactly right. They're passionate about how do I find the best return for the investors. So it's really been able to open up my brain space and my creativity, and my excitement level. I know I don't have to face stuff I don't like every day. I only do the things I like, and I only do the things I'm really good at. And if it takes me too long, or I'm getting stressed or emotional about something, it's probably because it's not my swim lane, and I'm not good at it.
That's something you've helped me out with a lot. Like in our mastermind is like, just get rid of the things you don't like, put those on somebody else, hire them out, because there's somebody that's really good and also really enjoys doing what you don't like doing. So that's a big part that's helped me. And like right now I'm in the middle of hiring out property management for all my Airbnb properties. And that's just something that took a lot of headspace away from me. And my wife, Nicole, because we do that together. So getting that off is just freed up so much more time to spend on what I enjoy doing, like you're saying right there. So that's such a huge piece when you're trying to build your team and grow and scale, is like try to, however you can focus on what you want to do and what you're good at, find ways to do that.
Yeah. And it's in anything. If it's in wholesaling, find somebody that likes to, acquire wholesales, then find somebody else that likes to market deals on wholesales. Find somebody else that likes to underwrite. If you're, that buy and hold real estate investor, find somebody before you find your first property that's a good property manager. You hunt the property manager down first, you get him and her on your team, then you find the deal, and then you build the property management into your first deal. Just start off that way. Absolutely start off that way, having somebody else do the management so you can go back on finding more deals and acquiring more things. But you want to build in those systems into your processes from the very, very, very beginning. And a very good book on that is called The E-Myth, where he talks about build your company, build your vision first, so you can work on your company and not in your company.
Yeah, work on it, not in it. That was huge. I actually listened to that on the audiobook, and after I read it, I was like, man, I'm doing everything wrong. I gotta start, like, get out, like, focus on the revenue drivers, like focus on what you can push the needle. Like, you don't need to be like worrying about the day-to-day maintenance. That's not getting you anywhere. And that's where I got cut up a lot. So definitely a discussion that's helped me a ton too. So I know it will help others just the same. That with your team and building the right members, right, you also have systems in place. So can you speak about some of the systems that you've put in place and with Growth Vue too, whether it's CRM or anything like that?
Yeah, we have, our president is just amazing at building and driving systems. And he comes from a marketing kind of background with a marketing company. So, he was able to build the CRM, which is basically a database that holds names. It allows us to track, who we've contacted, have we followed up with them?
And CRM is like customer relationship management. So it's just managing, how you follow up with people and how you converse with them, and keeping notes on conversations, things like that.
And most people are like, man, I don't know that many people that would invest. And I'm like, you are wrong. If you go on your phone and you just start scrolling down, I guarantee you each person that's going to be listening to this has over 150 people on their phone. And then you're going to reach out to some of them about the deals that you have and the great opportunities you have. And a lot of people are going to be interested. More people are going to be interested than you think. And then the problem becomes not, hey, can I get enough money? It's, hey, who have I talked to? Have I followed back up with them? Did they say they want me to call on Tuesday or Wednesday? So having that relationship management kind of program built in has been wildly successful. We built an email journey, which is basically like an automated journey that further educates our investor base as we go along. So we built a bunch of emails that the information is evergreen. it tells the benefits of all the things that's commercial multifamily, and then leads them to ask more questions and follow up, and then flow to our website. And the website's built out in a way to also educate somebody through who's never heard about how awesome this vehicle for wealth generation is.
Yeah.
And
I love these systems. They're like big funnels that just funnel like investors. Like it starts with the education, the acknowledgement piece, takes them along, a pathway to then like, hey, this is the opportunity, right? But you teach them along the way, like they're on the journey with you, and that funnel helps to get them in and eventually invest. That's awesome.
And then the marketing I really switched over to using, primarily LinkedIn marketing. And I put out a lot of articles on LinkedIn. I share a lot of really good information from third party. And it's gotten to the point where I have not had to cold call anybody in months. I have accredited investors that are coming to me, and my calendar is getting booked 2 and 3 weeks out for people that are interested in what Growth Vue is doing and how we're marketing. So that just kind of keeps the funnel full, and then you get enough information together, enough content together that you can continue to recycle this. So I start getting efficiencies back on my time, where I'm not just creating content all the time, but I can spend more time engaging with the investors and finding their pain points and finding out how I can solve a specific problem that they have.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, so I feel like people that hear this will say like, man, but I can't do all that. So,
No, you can't. You can't. And I couldn't do it all myself either.
Exactly.
But
So
it was that team.
yeah.
I was stuck at making a website, and then I linked up with somebody that could make a website. And then sometimes I would get scared of spending the money for like, hey, can I pay for the CRM, or should I pay for the CRM? And then like, you have to, it's got to be a business expense that you get kind of built in there. And a lot of people, you can't do it. You cannot. I mean, you might be a crazy whiz kid, but if you really want to grow personally and professionally, you have to put others around you who are capable.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to get at, right? Like, just understand you don't have to do everything. And I was a victim of this as well. This is where Brad helped me a lot. I see that little smirk coming for you. Those of you that can't see it, he's like, yeah. But you don't have to do everything yourself. I was trying to be a one-man show and do the underwriting, be the deal flow, be the capital raise, everything, and just ran into the limits of my time and ability. And that's where the team comes in such, man, once you get the team, it's like, wow, kind of opens your eyes like, hey, I can rely on these other people. I don't have to do everything. I can just focus, like we were saying earlier, like focus what you're good at and what you like doing. So for those of you listening to this, don't think you have to do everything at once. Don't think you have to do everything yourself. That's why finding the team is important. Like, it can start with one other person. It doesn't have to be a team of 6 or 8 or 10. It can be 2 of you bouncing off ideas and feeding into your strengths and weaknesses and building off of each other. And Brad, I know all this didn't happen at once for you and for Growth Vue and for us. So how has that evolved for you and your team over time?
Samson really did a lot of the back end work as far as our president did a lot of back end work as far as, the website and the CRM. Knowing that he did that was a huge burden off of me. And knowing that Jeremy was a professional underwriter and he did this for a living was a huge burden off of me. And my goal for the year was to raise $500,000, $500,000, so I thought it was a pretty good goal. But with that burden lifted off of me, I was able to raise $500,000 in the first 3 weeks. And
that's awesome.
The weight that was off was just unbelievable. And knowing that our other team member, Rick, who managed 7 McDonald's franchises in downtown Manhattan, he's going to be our asset manager. Knowing that he's going to manage it is another weight off of me. Knowing that I have Nate, who's going to work on investor relations and investor education, and our charitable work. He's going to be leading up that. That's a huge weight I don't have to worry about. And then, I got Blake, and he helps me with broker relations. So all these brokers we have that we have to keep constant relationships with to keep our deals coming in. I don't have to do that solo. We can break that up. And again, that just got more time for me to be more effective with the brokers I do have, be much, much more effective. and caring about the investors I do have. And it gives me time to enjoy sunsets and to go do things with my friends and go do things with my family, really work on personal development stuff that I'm looking to do as well, and not be bogged down with work. That's the last thing I wanted to do, was give myself another job. So now Monday nights, when we do one of our first meetings of the week, it's literally the best time of my week, because I get to engage with people that are significantly smarter than I am and more capable than I am. I learn something every single meeting, and we have so much fun doing it. And why I even waited this long, I was being so stubborn and doing it all myself, is beyond me. It's probably like 5 or 6 years of, night sweats and sweating through my sheets and grinding my teeth and making a lot of problems. But that was the biggest burden lifted off of me. And then now, God, for the investors out there, if I would have known about passive investing, like how to get into that, I would be doing a lot of that. Every $50,000 I get now, I throw it into a passive investment. And like Warren Buffett said, if you don't learn how to make money when you sleep, you're going to be working the rest of your life until you die. So getting that money into some kind of passive investment deal has got to be your ultimate goal. Flipping houses is fun, but that's another job. Doing the BRRRR strategy can be fun for a couple of them, but you just gave yourself another job. But getting into like really truly passive deals where you send somebody 50K, 100K, a million, whatever it is, and then you sit back and all you do is collect checks. That is what Robert Kiyosaki calls the lazy way to be a millionaire.
Yeah, I love that. That's a huge point, because you said there, right? Like when you think you're investing, you don't want to be buying yourself another job. So flipping houses is absolutely an active investing. The IRS even sees it that way. Like you get taxed differently because you're actively doing it. Same with wholesaling. That's another job. And of course, there's ways to set the systems with these two, with those strategies. But multifamily is what I found the quickest way to be passive. So Brad, with that, can you kind of talk about how these deals work from the management side, how we put them together, and then how investors kind of partake in the deal?
Yeah, so we get deals from a wide network of brokers. From there, we heavily screen them to make sure they're in great markets with income growth, job growth, high incomes, great demographics. Then we screen them even further and look at the neighborhoods they're in, because you buy a market and you buy a neighborhood, you don't buy an asset. If you buy a good market and you buy a good submarket, you're going to make money with the asset that's in there, as long as you have great operations team. From there, if we find something that fits all that and the numbers look really good, we do like 5 complete underwrites. So we do 2 internal underwrites. We give our advisory board a look at the underwrite. Our property managers get to do their own underwrite. And then the bank obviously gets to do an underwrite. And what's great about this is, if the bank's lending you money, that it's a great deal. Also, your property manager and any other underwrites you get outside of your organization, if they're telling you, yeah, it's a good deal, then you're going to make money, which is really exciting. And again, you don't have to lean on that by yourself. And then from there, we tap our network of investors who are all already excited to put their money into a hard asset that makes or has a possibility to make significantly more than the stock market, and over time is shown to be significantly less volatile than even government bonds. So the investors are really excited about putting their money in that. And then what investors get, they're actually owners of this apartment complex. They're actually partial owners of this apartment complex. So they realize the same principles of wealth generation that if you were to buy a single family home investment property. You get cash flow that comes in quarterly. You realize the appreciation on the asset as well as it increases in value. you realize principal pay down as all the tenants that are living there are graciously paying down the mortgage on your behalf. And then there's tax benefits associated with owning hard real estate. It's one of the most tax advantaged businesses in all the IRS code. So you get to realize that while you sit at home and don't do anything. That's why it's so lazy. And that's why it's such a good mechanism for wealth generation. It's such a good mechanism for wealth protection. And it's such a good mechanism for diversifying your portfolio.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why you see, like, you hear all the time that all the rich, like the ultra wealthy, have their money in real estate. And that's why multifamily assets are such an exciting asset class to get into, because you think if these people are doing it, there's a lot of merit to it. And I wrote a blog post about this that's up on the website. It's the ideal investment, like you're saying, the income, depreciation, equity pay down, appreciation. Then you get to leverage it. You get to use other people's money, like the bank's money, to go out and buy this thing. It's amazing. Like the possibilities in this space are awesome. So I just wanted to recap that process. So, and this fits into the team discussion as well. So you go out and find the deal first, and that's, somebody on the team, that's their role. They go out and find the deals. They make the calls. They talk to the brokers. That's where they live. And then it goes into underwriting. That's somebody else's job. Hopefully, you spread that out. And then, you're getting feedback from property managers and bank to check that work. And if that comes back, then it's really good. And you said something important in there: buy a market. Don't just buy the asset, because you could buy an awesome looking asset in the worst market and you're going to lose money. So that was a really good point. Then you fund it, the investor relations, close it, and then you have your asset management. So those are your big pieces: is finding the deals, underwriting them, funding the deals, and then your asset management. So there's really key pieces that you need to fit in your team, whether it's one person doing multiple roles, hopefully not one person doing all the roles, but really good stuff. So you have a lot of this built in, Brad, with Growth Vue, and I guess we do. We got a lot of this stuff built in. So kind of let's talk about what now. So we have the team members. We have people, me and you, going out there and finding the right investment partners, and we're talking to brokers, getting the deal flow. So where does all that lead? All right, so Brad, we got the deal flow now. We're starting to get those off market deals, which is really exciting to see. We've raised a ton of capital. So what's next? Like, where's Growth Vue headed? Like, what's the progression here?
The good problem to have is that we have a lot of capital to deploy in the markets that hit our demographics, which I thought that was going to be problematic, but definitely not. So now we're just continually to screen, be the most conservative that we can possibly be, and find an amazing deal for our investors that has great returns and has great advantages for them as passive investors. We've really been focusing on the Carolina markets, which has very business friendly, very landlord friendly states. Very strong markets with very diverse economy that are doing very well before COVID and even during COVID. No sector owns like huge portions of any one of the markets that we're looking at, which is also equally important. You never really, for what we do, to drive out, any possibility of risk, we try and only be in markets where, one business doesn't have any more than about 16 to 20% of the market share. So if something were to happen in that single market, like say for airlines right now, the entire industry in that area is not evolved around airlines.
Yeah, I think so we're Detroit at the automotive bust.
Yeah, Detroit automotive. You don't want to be in Detroit. So, we only pick really, really strong markets that we're going to focus in now. Going forward, now that we have all the capital we want, we can, we really focus on who we want to partner with, who we really want to bring on as investors. They have to have that same growth mindset. They have to have the same long-term wealth generation mindset that we have. And we can be really selective, which is good because, we want to work with great people who want to do more as a team than they could by themselves. We can also work with joint venture partners who have the same mentality. And what we love, and I think what's different than a lot of other firms, is we never went into this saying we're going to do it by ourselves. We went into this saying everything we do with the team is better. So we're really looking, if there's strong joint venture partners out there, that want to link up and that can bring strong amounts of capital to the game. We would love to have a conversation with you and love to be able to talk with you there. But the goal in the next 5 years is to have 100 million of assets under management. And I think we'll blow the doors off of that. I think that's even pretty conservative.
Man,
2 to 3
gets
deals.
me going. That's that right there. That thought like just makes me want to pick up the phone. And not only that, like it's not all about the money, but man, it drives us because we got big hairy goals and we're all kind of on the same page going out.
Yeah, and part of the vision of that, for me was my mindset really changed from how much money can I make to how much money can I give away, personally as well, and how much can I continue to do for others. And that's also taken a lot of stress off me. And we even have somebody that does charity relations, and they pick the charities and they do the charities that we work with and that we integrate with and that we talk to and that we give to, out of our impact fund that we've created. So it's just a beautiful thing that I know good stuff is happening and I'm not having to put all the brain power behind it and not having to put all the energy behind it. And, with almost anything, the more people you have pushing along, the more people you have pulling on that sled, the easier the load gets. And as we're moving forward and we add more and more assets to our inventory, maybe we'll have to bring on other experts, and that's a good problem to have. And I'm really always looking for great talent that's out there that can fill any gaps that we have.
Yeah, man, I love that. You mentioned like some really cool stuff in there that we're doing with Growth Vue, like 10% of the profits right away are going to homeless veterans with, both of you and I being active duty. I know that's one that hits home for us, and like we're super excited to be able to give back in that way. And Nate, who runs investor relations and the charity work, is, the other team member who handles that part does it really well, and he cares a ton. So love being on this team with a bunch of big-hearted people who it's not just about the money, which of course that's a driving factor, but it's really about this big, about the big why, like to give back and have a greater impact, not be, Scrooge McDuck diving into our respective pools of cash and gold coins. So it's fun to be with, like-minded people going after and get it. So like for those people listening, like I think the most important part of this, and when Brad, and I had the initial discussion, and then with the rest of the team for me to join, like the biggest part was like all these people share what I want to do is go out, give back, have a big impact, and not just, make a ton of money. And I would advise like you guys to go out and find the people who resonate with you, like find the people in your all's passion and like-mindedness will all feed into each other to be more productive and push harder for those other people. So find the right people, and the rest will take care of itself. That's why this podcast here in the beginning about finding your dream team is so important, because when you put those pieces in place, man, it takes off like wildfire. Brad, I'm sure you've seen it. You've been in the team longer and seen the progression, and just, as you build it, man, it just starts taking off and the productivity just goes through the roof.
Yeah, and you can have every sports analogy is out there. You can have phenomenal players, but without a great team around them to hold up. Michael Jordan, couldn't have done what he did with the Bulls without Scottie Pippen there. Having those other key players, you might have a superstar on the team. You might be the superstar on the team. But having those other people that can throw you assists and help you out, and you're not always going to be the superstar. You're not always going to have the energy. As you're doing and going through this investing, lifestyle, you're going to have stuff that pops up. You're going to have, sick family members. You might get ill now, especially in COVID. You got to really take care of your health and other people like that. You want somebody to be able to pick it up. If your entire business is resting on you, then if you go down, so does your business. So putting those team members in place helps bolster you up and helps bolster your business up, so that you're never going to go hungry.
Yep.
You're never going to worry about
Like
the
extra
drop
legs to
deals.
stand on.
Yeah, you got extra legs, you got extra minds to set on, but so many people are so stubbornly stuck on, I need to have control. And the things I've learned through this, A, is give up control, and B, is find a purpose bigger than making money. Because making money will never make you happy. You can look at them, all the celebrity superstars that are fighting depression, or unfortunately committed suicide or anything like that, because money is not the answer. It's just a means and a mechanism. If you can build giving into your thought process, it also helps you fuel your fire. You're doing something for somebody else and something bigger and better outside of yourself and outside of your organization. So when those days get hard, or you do have to grind really hard, you're doing it for a reason, that somebody is depending on you, which helps and helps fuel your team a lot.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's great advice, because you could chase money for your whole life and never get enough and never feel satisfied. So that purpose is huge to have. Yeah, great point. So here we're getting towards the end, and I want to get towards the common questions at the end of every show. So what has been your biggest mistake so far that's turned into a learning lesson for you?
The biggest mistake so far for me was single family turnkey investments. They just ended up being kind of a headache, and especially dealing with HOAs, and you can't control HOAs. So the single family turnkey, there are some great companies out there that do it, but really, really screen that. I just got bit really hard on that, and I never will, even for my own personal residence. I think buy a single family residence, I'll always have like a back unit out there,
Yep.
or something that can kind of, wow. But yeah, the biggest mistake I did was I spent too long doing it by myself, and spent too many restless nights, and got too many mouth ulcers, and had too many anxiety attacks, and that was the biggest mistake I ever made, was trying to do it all by myself, and thinking I could do it all by myself, and not finding a team from the start.
Yeah. Great points in there. Start with house hacking. Like, we've got our fourth property now with like that detached unit. Love it. And we're about to move in. We just closed on one today, and we're going to move into that one and rent out that back unit. So living for free wherever we go. Love that. And then systematize early and often, like find whatever you can get off you, and either hire it out or find a team member, something, align interest to get that off you, because you're going to get there a lot faster. So that's awesome. What is your favorite resource you would recommend to someone who's starting out, whether it's a book, a website, blog, or anything in between?
www.thegrowthvue. So I'll just go ahead and put that out there, .com, and that's growthvue.com. If I could have gotten into passive investing, if I had that knowledge base right off the bat, I would have done that right off the bat.
Yeah, that's
because then you at least have some money coming in while you sleep.
Yep.
So please reach out to us. Let us know how you can get involved in that. And I got to a point where I'd read all the books. People can give book recommendations all the time, but it's actually until you go out and connect with people that you actually get the real experience. But the great book to start with that I mentioned was The E-Myth, on just about building businesses and thinking about systems. And then Brandon Turner's book, The Book on Rental Property Investing, gave me a good, baseline vocabulary, so that when I did show up to my first real estate meeting, like, I knew the vocabulary they were talking about, and some of the very, very simple equations for return on investment, or cash on cash return on investment, return on equity. Very, very elementary stuff. It shouldn't be intimidating at all. But
that was the second book I ever read. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then that book. And Rich Dad Poor Dad gave me like, okay, real estate investing is like pretty cool. That could be the way. And then I read that book, the book on rental property investing. I was like, all right, this is how I go do it. Gave me just enough to like get the ball rolling, and super instrumental. Actually, I got it right here. Go order it. It's good. It's right next to Rich Dad Poor Dad. Always a reminder.
Yeah.
Awesome. So outside of real estate, killing it, raising capital. What do you do outside of real estate?
Right now in COVID, I can't do a whole lot. So I do a lot of banjo playing. I've been learning how to play banjo through this. I've been studying for French. One of my big goals and one of the big reasons I'm doing passive investing and active investing with Growth Vue is in 6 years, when I retire from the military, my goal is to go do missionary work in conflict areas. So West Africa is someplace I'm being drawn to, and it's where I put a lot of my personal funds and my personal giving to an organization called 6 Degree Initiative, and they work in very, very, very rough areas to do humanitarian assistance and to plant churches and really help out lost people. And people that never heard the gospel before. So I'm learning to speak French so I can be ready to jump into those roles in the future, be able to help out there and do something there. Feel like I'm building up to something bigger that's got a bigger purpose and that I can continue to serve. But yeah, while I'm doing the investing is I don't ever want to ask people for money. I want to be able to use my passive income to be able to pay for myself and a small team of people to go do amazing things around the world in places that most people don't want to go.
That's awesome, man. You got such a huge heart that you're going to go out there and make awesome stuff happen. And love to hear those stories. Like when we talk offline, some of the things you've done, it's awesome over there. So where can people find more about you? Find out more. We're going to edit this out.
Okay.
So where can people find more about you, Brad, and how can they connect with you?
On every podcast I've done so far on multiple different real estate investment sites, I always give out my personal phone number. It's area code 828-446-4813. Again, 828-446-4813. Please text me. I'd love to link up with you. My personal email is Brad, B-R-A-D, at thegrowthvue.com, and that's TheGrowthTH, and then VUE.com. And then check out our website at www.thegrowthvue.com. And I'd be happy to talk to you personally. And that's on anything. Doesn't have to be passive investing. If you wanted to get started in wholesaling, house hacking, BRRRR method, hold and sell, or buy and holds, or you actually are interested in doing your own syndication, I would love to help you get started, to give you any advice, because that's what people did for me. And when somebody put their number on a podcast, I called that number. And so that's how I got started. And there's people out there that are scared to do that. And hey, that's just the way we make new friends. You don't have to be scared to ask. I'll talk to you whether you make $5, $500, $5 million, or $5 billion. I'll treat everybody the same. And I just want everybody to be happy, and continue to grow where they want to grow and where they think they can go. So please reach out.
That's awesome, man. I love that. Hopefully you get a bunch of good calls and have the discussions with people. But thanks for providing awesome value on this podcast. I think people are going to hear this and, see that your character shines through. And that's what you get with Growth Vue. And that's just not me saying that because I'm part of the team. That's what drew me to the team in the first place, because everybody is like that. So Brad, thanks for talking about team and finding the dream team. What's up?
Let me throw one more thing out there. We just had one of our team members, Nate Woods, drop his new book, actually called Developing Others Through Service, by Nate Woods. He just dropped that. So that's going to be an amazing book. Definitely not a real estate book, but as soon as you get into this game, if you're not developing others through service, your company's not going to grow.
Yeah,
and that's what we're all about.
That'll be on like Amazon, everywhere you can find.
That's on Barnes and Nobles right now. It's pre-ordering, but it'll be on all the websites come August 16th. So be on the lookout for DOTS, Developing Other Through Service by Nate Woods.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Brad. Definitely check out thegrowthvue.com. Email Brad at thegrowthvue.com. Call him. He gave his number earlier, or you can email me, Blake, at multifamilyjourney.com, and get a hold of either one of us. But Brad, thanks for being here, and we're out.
Thanks, Blake.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you like the show, if you found value in it, please go to iTunes and leave a rating and review. If you want to check out more on your multifamily journey, go to multifamilyjourney.com, where you can get free resources to start your journey and figure out your path. That's multifamilyjourney.com. But more importantly, go take action today towards your financial future. See you next time.